So quick updates na yemon komo all sport GHL YouTube yes yourself when yes so ye when ye let's get going in sense for fraba e was say me bana me be cheche niemo mu ba ko mienu miensa bi na hu niema esi echo now and of course you know so this is your usual back to back latest sports updates. Of course we are here. Yanante, Mame Robert Lewandowski, na me kwasha semfi na swaye na me more updates. I feel hoba Lewandowski na central for questions. Nene, I loved the kind of questions they asked Robert Lewandowski and the kind of answers on also they buy. For instance, almost say Shishamaye, would dream manager wanya. And also no betimi achiche mu e dia maye. And central for say flow chirem. And also no say in terms of tactics ni dream manager Pep Guardiola. And also in terms of player management, Obeka say Hansa Flick to Onwa. In terms of motivation, so be motivating, Obeka say Jurgen Klopp. And also say about big games Padia, Obeka say Carlo Ancelotti. And also Pobia Bono stylish, Obeka Julian Nagelsmann. Let me see Jafo. One dream coach no. One man the coach is no me adwuma nyina de ahye won pe ne ho asem o coach su ba ko a o kine bi central for makwa akwaje no esi bone nti wa chechechechem tactics Pep Guardiola eba man management or say Hans Flick motivational speaker betimi convince no Jurgen Klopp big game Carlo Ancelotti stylish play Julian Alvarez and someone Lewandowski and so kanams okay yati and na omubisa ne say na say maybe you say Lamine Yamal na pass one passable na mfama ma what siano na sansam na kwesi sen and I say here onu onyi no na wo ya akwada na wo ba mpanyifo ne timi tia wo te say normal or say ade a wo fa so di sua de but I say we hu say this current generation wo kwatia obi sisi ano a nsam no na akoye bebre nti ono so sisi de we hu kwa obefa so ne this current generation edin komo nti no so more times no mo pekasa 1v1 na enumom better because ono no feel say enkane no sene na osi eni mpanyifo ne relate omo tia wo a na ama wo hu say ade na wo ye no enye but to see this young guys na eba no. Of course, you don't need to do that. And also, okay, talking about young guys, Barcelona, everyone kwadani bebre. Now, how are you able to, deal with these young guys? Because you was an answer one kwadani a free power. And also, now a challenge kakra at the man of dealing and understanding how these boys think. But if you say yeah, because he's coming from a different generation. Anyway, so a different generation. It's not say a bit difficult kakra, but they say what try what's in Kwadana since no relate very well. And I'm okay. Now what can Kwadana some the main man Lamine Yamal. Akwadana performance, who performance and say no okay and Mirabia. Na Barcelona and paying for no first time who sell Lamine Yamal train with the 15 years. So okay those days Now I quite say was sell Lamine Yamal no ko. Now only paying for the question because I was in the end this season now almost tested in Kwadani Biashade. Or say Lamine Yamal was playing against an experienced left back. Now on can left back both for no a ding no because it's and you're fine. But no bet me or you experienced left back. Now quite Lamine Yamal this left back in the fast no. I say hey I want to answer nah. Akwada ni ball ni boy pa no so no onim say e normal so ya akwada you will need time to adapt but Lamine Yamal dey also adaptation be no because the ordinary hu any the odi hu or training grounds no there's nothing like adaptation for Lamine Yamal. Say the guy is playing very very well. I know and some Robert Lewandowski and central for Kubisa Enzo Maresca say Enzo internet just planning in a Bayern Munich game na anything na rotate to squad na sa na no sijabi munya sansam no kraka na hwe or can somebody actually say before the Brentford game Joao Pedro ba no be catch so onye fit on me more 90 minutes. Also sign on the play and be catch into say or game Bayern Munich game ni one on ma Joao Pedro 1 minute cra omani bobo ni bi nanso so na we say odwendwen bebre because players ni bebre wo ha na omonye fully fit to play 90 minutes or say Kopama na onye fully fit to betimi abo 90 minutes other players bi ha Wesley Fofana no na can say obema na just 45 minutes into no a situation no na man ko Barca anya say e boa payo say na adwene nyina wo the Bayern Munich game Reece James also so many factors and they affect Chelsea ama Chelsea entimi amobo na no omope especially in the first half or say or come on say Chelsea were not good in the first half or say a difficult place to come say what about Brentford one starting game near na game no din papa but I say any excuse be was some call now I'm correct some mistakes say Chelsea I set a huge standard sir standards no no quite say was some leave below the standard or say disappointing not to have picked a win in this particular game. I'm okay, no problem. I know and some Reece James and so eka Jonathan Tah a defender Edema Bayern Munich central for could be sansa Bayern munim say money Chelsea airball arrangement and that's saying and also I was so maintaining conviction say style of play irrespective of the opponent they will not change into so say Chelsea say a team fufro almost style of play no was a place in say they are not going to change, they are going to rather play well with their style of play because some people say the style of play they impose Chelsea how they press the intensity of the ball high pace dash into corners so say they win so yeah now some tactics just because it is Chelsea or makes me Asher Chelsea Jonathan Tah some kind of Chelsea fans Mate there as someone also eka Harry Kane Sancho for Kobisa and say so far winning Nicholas Jackson who saying na or your competitor na and also say who follow the Premier League very well to said you no follow no who say Nicholas Jackson or great attribute ye power say onyamre say or popola of course obebo because we're a very good player say or you be or create a lot of chances and so add the man teammate into an important but no or say Nicholas Jackson as a competitor rather he see him as a player or some person be because Nicholas Jackson your backup or some person because Nicholas Jackson can help Bayern Munich in so many ways okay backup I say what the disrespect Nicholas Jackson don't feel say Nico bet me about so many places a bit me about Bayern Munich rather we should see Nico as a Bayern Munich player rather than terming him as a backup to Harry Kane. Nam si yo yatse senior man as someone working the trodo. Anyway, let's move on now. Mama no bon komo kesa anopay mon say Real Madrid after beating Real Sociedad by 2-1 and anopay omo enso eguso eye warm up training kakra anopay what I say after the game no omuye training and then me training no I saw Jude Bellingham training, I saw Endrick training, and I mean we say Kamavinga so I join the training no though oman ko bo game ni bi but omo a join the team na anopay Emma almost so a training Madrid for prepare for the Marseille game na ni nyina no say mpanyifo a referee Ivan Pelsto no and a referee for that game. If you don't know this man, way NAD Madrid versus Arsenal. The Arsenal bomb with three no. That's yeah. My papa NAD game no. And maybe is it 2023? Madrid for share live is like 1-0 on a D game. You know what I say? Nyame on a bedi this particular game. And you between they be a buyer once someone so at the bro. Well, Barcelona for squad. Omane Valencia Eboma for place no camp no. Players and a goalkeeper Juan Garcia, Josh Sheshini, Diego Koshin, 3 goalkeepers. Afe defenders Ronald Arroyo, Pau Kubasi, Christiansen, Gerard Martin, Jules Kundi, Eric Garcia, Godfrey Torrent, Fifi Ofono, Pedri, Fermin Lopez, Marc Casado, Dani Olmo, Mark Bernal, Enim for a Ferran Torres, Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, Marcus Rashford, Rooney Baji, and Fernandez. This is the squad of Barcelona Fuaco, and of course, say Lamine Yamal is not part, just like we told you in a previous video. We say he will not be part of this game. And what's someone I had drained the about and then Lamine Yamal would have to take time and recover. the recovery in Barcelona games on my ball. Johan Cruyff Arena, and you know, said these are mostly friendly games, and then it's going to be very competitive game. Remember, say Barcelona for no ever winner. Say benchiwall, and so nyamia dom benchiwall, and so akọ. Now was starting a training noon say catch or say or Strasbourg. Maybe any year late the crane now was take it time. Na oyen enkakra and to me say bench you and so I started training or you say sending them and to me ako anyway I wish you all the best senior man bench you Chelsea for inti well na so bet me say sin that the morning I am you know because really star big kakra anyway mami moving on na fe mami no bon komo kakra Renaud Lodi akwa we asam ye mobo wonim say or say terminating the contract ewa Hilal for name fi no say wa terminate matter say wa question the krom Kretiba na also person Hilal for ne kasa na fe asumdwe mu because say no see terminate contract unilaterally no onye too sure say bia o chine bi nkofo na akwa hold no responsible and nkofo no so oben o so person no mo ka asumdwe mu no free club mu a obo mo bi enfi no na me say Renaud Lodi this say was why confused say uncle signing my club for bi ochina e ko fa samba because almost so move you know what I say nti asam no twetwere uja fo bo ohun de oye no honam master tubu o kire bi okwa akoye na akwa fa foforo nso etimi e de aba anyway let's move on afei mama no monko mo foforo kakra na minim say ugusu a wo monitor the World Athletic Championship no na Ghana you were interested bebre dia kwaso Tokyo no na eno me monitor niam no kra na ma me check akra because enra prelims ne ye nim round 1 and the Ghana can enya bad kra because hit 1 na ye nim hit 1 we African here we are just watching Ajayi Nigerian you know hit 2 na Ghana nim hit 3 na Ghana nim wow she he trade no announce word pa meka round 1 do enti yeah the Ghana ye ba hit 5 no na Tebogo we asemu Tebogo is on the ginaso on the defense ho Andre de Grasse and so etosom you know Lindsay etosom yensa the reason why this is very important ne say sa hit no Ghana ni bako ewo but no to Ricardo match Germany ye friend Lucas ansa pepra no to Ricardo match Germany but no grow the fifth do di sees Ghana ya Benjamin Azamati internet say one qualify from round 1 na no free so we're just hoping to say yenua Saminu what I say Abdul Rashid Saminu ono betimi aye bi hit 7 Akani Sembaini na a D first Yenua Abdul Rashid Saminu ne D second o'clock 10.09 Ferdinand Omoyelas Kenyanino very good athletes also clock 10.12 and again in here also so Otumikadema Netherlands every say free Ghana dey bro sorry every say free fa say the boys no be anything says Kenya nti no ko Tumika wo baby ono no the wild card be dey qualify inti and then semi-finals no the only hope for us was Abdul Rashid Saminu. Well, Yabwerie hit 3 semi-finals. Seville oblique and a D first Jamaica, you know. Or qualify on so clock 9.86. Dotosum, you know. Lexley Tebogo, Botswana, you know, on Ekuta Africa, Etsy, Nimi pa. Also clocking 9.97. And Lutlelia, also South African, you know, and so clocking 9.97. And Yenya Abdul Rashid Semenu, a clocking 10.08. Oh. At the end also top three. See finals are nanka yepe edi ama yenua no looks like but honestly say 100 meters there the way Saminu no all ye ne there you need resources. It's just unfortunate we don't have the resources to push my brother. But America to Mudia watch say he's a fighter. We place fourth. One qualify and call finals, but my brother, Yamisha pa. Where in Ayana make can say you can just imagine and say ya swampa say inka on mine the facilities you will sky the be pushy yanko for ya. Some in your shows and Kawina bebo. Because these guys, let's say resources, while you had the boys in the air. Yeah, and it's ashimi because where they be feeling only too brutal. What I say, she say Benjamin has made two bar from Kakrano. Only they could take Ghana flag, sir, but it is what it is. And for crack. Anyway, let's move on. Still nego so before Frobia about of course and once a so Edinburgh bro Terence Crawford. Yeah. And now I share boxing, you know, and we're creating a video. Yeah, check a crane was say boxing on a shabby kakra. Say Seria. Crawford eke kakono dia anu shi but wa hwe Canelo Terence a hwe Canelo enya sam ketwa na Terence start ye ni weight the same we see e move akọ weight by weight say I think say undisputed super lightweight champion and our sound say undisputed welterweight champion and wasabe undisputed super middleweight champion. Ladies and gentlemen, your 3-time undisputed champion, Terence Crawford. Crawford, master. And why ye Canelo who adwuma ye pa akoi wabro Aaron Spence wabro Sean Porter wabro American one crown ombo ne bio Ricky Barnes then why ye nkofo who adwuma ye pa enti bueno, it was difficult. Honestly, maybe I'll start here from last year. Move about 154 pounds. And as I said, if you want to move on to the next weight or gain, I'll try. And for him to come to Zona Canelo and for him to get this, honestly. Na owie na enije no ahye no so na afi na atune nisio well so we interested in boxing na me pacho boxing e ba so na manfo ni wo ho ne pa no Crawford na ono so ewini sa can I yield this and now Juventus Inter Milan before game na I was say omo the player of the month Juventus for Edemano no na some present Edemano game na de enya fe ni ye be chirichiri mu no a wonya kwan hwe bi wonya kwan so ahwe bi say and rather honestly nkofo no my beautiful football Italian Serie A no we need Inter back, we need AC Milan performing, we need Juventus performing because na be ma Italian Serie A na ayede na Napoli for susu ginemu a my Italian Serie A na yede and the kind of game I witness here Inter Milan for no me ba aba di nkomo almost some ball pa because and it was good game. Lloyd Kelly, Bogo boy, na Chahanoglu, Chahanoglu 2 goals, ninya super fantastic goals. Na wa bought no a second here, and now the young soma minim though you want to for crash shots, Papa Beano, but on bunny run it, and I young soma pa me when you cry. That's a can you there's no a Bogo na Turam so if I say Chahanoglu ashe, and Sana Kef Turam, Marcus Turam eshe. Then Kefram also scored and run them say yeah papa Lilian Turam de ni be the former club we win it. The former club no the player ni Babaku o ma go. And then the Babaku also saw the opposite side. Marcus Turam on so she go and say run there. And you win for Lilian Turam. And that was such an interesting game. So Juventus last minute. Adzik and a boss long range at this share. Say yeah. 3 games so far in the Italian Serie A. Napoli 9, Juventus 9. Say nanka yepu, nanka Inter, sorry, nanka Asia, sorry. Remember Italian Serie A no. I very interesting, but for Napoli, dear Charlie, so far It's been so good. I know I'm foul so Eddie Florentine and Nimchichi from na Alcono at Kevin De Bruyne penalty partner Ishaho na Ramos Hoylon the pat defender Bequema na Charlie it is good to say Napoli for so egada mention person Napoli in Manchester City Champions League no more na me share back come you and say I'm doing Tony maybe one of here but yeah and say Italian Seria is getting more interested Macasado I'm told to say and now only 22 years what is it to confirm my view? I've seen Barcelona and almost so a posting Macasado sending a 22nd birthday. Interesting. Look, sure say Papa, your friend Ruben Amorin while Buano Papa or Sam Morin Yamishano. Also, your beer, Almorin a straightforward. I didn't know and ye or be catch or some master. I didn't know you know. Or since I 7 all can send for doubt here. Wopa, young Kosha boy no. Ruben Amorim in the press conference. Won't say Amorim you'll be your person the ADC. I didn't go here or be catch straightforward into say Amorim the a year pa na make Amorim in some no Casimiro agents a friend rebut. And I say look say Casimiro any Ruben Amorim relationship no. And to say we also say very very tight. Also say you know Amorim afa Casimiro say in soldier and a Casimiro so air try you soon the experience and so at the about Ruben Amorim so mummy no say partnership no e fa papa na sky say the nature say enye me one say go catch them Manchester United the pennyfo no say omoma Casimiro and Sanson tina for 1 more year Casimiro nankasa at least they forget yes say Diego Leon na no fan fi Paraguay left back no yes say Casimiro na say wa fa akwada no a o training nkakra say ono so be build akwada na confidence na ma otimi abesi akan e de ama Manchester United am say senior man kasi you know when it looks like positivity no ya dos one sa and now we be me William Extavao me pacho yes oyare aha intina penyifo ni decide say master we are ready go sit down yeah my own I just say Ruben Amorim say look I was say Manchester United no ade ba ku bi ha ne kakra say game no mo koba so mo kosia average team confidence no I was say omunya sa confidence no we say games bi Manchester United fan of and no na e ha omo or say energy omo the ball games and kese te say dey bia Manchester derby omo bebo sa confidence ne ahondin bi omo di training no sa ahondin na e was some ko Greensby omo ko teams nketo or some the sa ahondin na akọ enso so ba behwe no na boys na du a no more relax so sa de no sa balance no and na all pick kakra nti no ose saa de no onyenyan or person place no your confidence even in smaller games not necessarily the big games alone well omuko bisa no say na Manchester City for no so amu no omu bebo ne and also on your feel say Manchester City a ball with a lot of possession they play well if you say Manchester City for a lot of qualities but omu defense any style o metimi meet any form of possession and attack be against Manchester. And so on they also have a plan for the game against Manchester City. You know, Mobia Eyemu and I'm so okay, coach. Yati now Benjamin Sheshko swear and on Sadia Bakwa and Nia Genese and now Sheshko be ball crack against Burnley. So a lot of positive. Who say strikers now or one previously, no now Obia say Bono Equator Wings were normally they don't fight for air boss but they say we who striker or yeah willing say ball no call wings bia no or person pass ball na so yeah cross edemano no dey need a head ball nti ohun difference kakra and positivity bi kakra say Benjamin Sesko bi bia you okay a ebetimi e dey aboa Manchester United or say boy no e bia betimi amana ball kakra against Manchester City Adam ko bi sanse na ko bi menu so honestly I think this is one of the interviews I mean say Ruben Amorim what can I dream about Kobe Menu? Now, I'm sure a idea was said I just to shut the central for them down because they be on baby son. And then they were brutal. See, also maybe Kobe Menu is not used to fighting for his place. And he's a very good kid. He wants to learn. He's fighting. But I love the first statement. Remember, I can't be, but listen to the first statement. Maybe Kobe Menu is not used to fighting for his place. Like I say, only those who say, "Ebia na Kobe Menu no, only used to fighting for his place because they be on him position that what the man." Then he went ahead and said, "Say, Kobe needs to beat competition from Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte. They are good players. As we repeat it several times. As Kobe needs to fight for his position. Or say Kobe Manu needs more pace. Kobe Manu needs more pace. Oh, he understands. He needs to understand the position better. The core duties of the position, Kobe does not really understand this, because the coach says that he needs to understand the role better. So he needs to understand the position better. I get it. And I'll say Kobe needs to learn how to play in different pace. Sometimes he is slower, sometimes he is fast, but he needs to improve. In terms of Amorim there, there's a kuma sunu nyina no waka no somehow no. And I say nti there's a kuma sunu and waka with regard to Kobe there, because for the tata no too much nti no in somebody bia ono so waka Freddy Valverde say game number 150 away winning into 150 wins for Freddy Valverde nti no almost Chelsea Madrid for debut omo ye no kama omo presenting just so Edman for 150 wins. I mean, and you're bad, master. 150 wins in the year. It is good. Anyway, my mentor was Pep Guardiola. And our press conference so ye late, and I'm so also buying us pacho. Now also ye name about sebi into pacho so ye late. And I'm say feel folding that bang and ne form ne besa ba da bang or be fitter or be ball consistent. No see, no. Only the first person or pentam ama feel folding na form no sound so aba it sounds so too desperate say I was say boy ne ever back na or say back we hand say ni pra no from last season oba na or yes or recover na prebia sound so aba no abebo big game no sound so a prebia to say eno na ya na ha pa but he needs Phil Foden back to the team, playing week in and week out and a bit me aboa Manchester City ye pa I'm okay, no problem. Now, Kobisa says, when J says, tell no, like this current Manchester City team, Bibi push you say, I was say, maybe a season, no, now Manchester City, Edda, Manchester United, Surana, and I say, hey, say, I dear Bakwan and Nijo, I dear Bakusu and any Bejan say, you may be a season, Manchester City, Ajay Lake, and yet. They say Okwesang will be once decided and the concentration in you, because all he thinks about is how Manchester City will end up on top of the table. And no idea. Na or say football is a mindset, I was say you see any kakra free tennis for instance, and I know when you quite share tennis or share Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alvarez, Acres. Or more tennis can crown boy. Or say one of those things are the need you want to say tennis players the mistake back home and son. Or more coach did not catch him say okay, and yes, why you mistake? And today continue. What they yeah, Ebeba say this kind of mentality into your footballer now in a park so no mistake back over. And you say no I'm a say mistake back over. So mentality. I was a footballers, and so I learned a lot through from the tennis players, because one mistake does not define you. Now I'm okay, no problem. Brentford for striker, attacker, you say go Fabio Carvalho against Chelsea. And I no more. Omuba game ni no more Chelsea for strength. Na omunim Chelsea for say omo qualities pa key areas uja omo mesimi ha omo no say ni nyina mu no na omo so omo game plan omo so no maya omo baby teach Chelsea for quality or more. And I'm saying Johnny say game plan the bang or so you to but they had a proper plan. They knew Chelsea how almost fast ebo Mame Moises Caicedo. Caicedo and Uncle Bisan said they didn't kind Copama only performance saying and also and your neighbor count. They say Obia him say Copama or Yobia or a very important to the Chelsea team. Now Kopama ba game no no se Kopama ba ya na enyama started say esesa the ama the Chelsea team and also Brentford for no omo football the enibom omo style bi omo tie you super sa long throws na omo ye no say sa long throws no Emma Chelsea for brepa because of how omo fa so omo ball into no so next time I was say some mistakes ni omo rectify because opponents no style no. Now they were finding it difficult to defend against SARS style, throw-ins, but these things they are going to rectify it as soon as possible. Moises Caicedo, yati. Now Brentford for coach Keith Andrews, now am say aden e dey born na only Chelsea for be born sa no long throw sa aden then how and I say most of the question men na mu bisa ne sa no say Brentford for ball fititi sa no mo ball nti ene ono aye bi na wa sha o be ka so no na enye coach papa I say Brentford for the say sa na de bi mo ball long throws na no mo ye nti na wo susu se wo say wo di blame no enso edema no say dabe ene de sansam na mo kan anya de ombeso mitimi asoso so century we be sans ha den na dango atara o man na ball no one shut down start no so ye nya botre boy no coming from international break now untimi Samson risky bebre till for international break ba sometimes you just have to rotate your squad in kakra na mame Enzo Maresca said before the game he had planned say Wesley Fofana ebebo 45 minutes Facundo Buonanotte ebebo 45 minutes in ten years a game no mu hu so you mu free but say it was something now I planned there towards a game no sa no be my boys no and so it's me abobo and I'm see ye and on Kobe Sans and Cole Palmer so the performance no saying and also Cole Palmer he's been out for almost 3 weeks ain't he banana on be started but no him say Cole Palmer be gina park no so obey the difference maker and so our park no so I'm say okay no problem Ruben Amorim say international break no aboa no papa and Sancho for aden and also international break no e man no kwan man it me share Manchester United games on more ball na saying into a hwehwehwe nimen bebre e man no kwan man sound so share Manchester City kwan mo fa so ball into international break no or the aye niema bebre sa niema no so e be boa e improve the team into no yenya botre emfama wo mo na say okay my ati Enzo Maresca na say Sancho for Kobe say inti wama Mark Gill wa sign it chiaba wa mana bobo ni bi chese na come one international Sunderland they say wa ba o man bobo ni bi and also no one they decide so ma Terence George abobo ni bi say Terence George and no o man ni ball be against Fulham no boy no confidence or the ball no o feel say it was a good performance inti na hu be hia say obema Terence George and so etimi atoa so esi akan and so ede ama Chelsea na msuki no problem na Ruben Amorim century be say pressure ewo wo so echa Pep Guardiola na and also sa comparison ni enjoy Pep Guardiola we winning trophies e winning ono afa ni we si so oba enti sa comparison person any form of comparison kra no obeye kra na msi yate say Barcelona and Valencia Frankie de Jong out Lamine Yamal out say games are these two boys omambo bi no ni nyina nkoye mfa ma Barcelona onwa lusum yenu abo drop baako Celta Vigo mbo 2-2 maybe or Sasuna shomu 4-2 Las Palmas shomu 2 and these are games are South 2 players to mambo bi ana affected Barcelona ye pa but let's see whether this time around we know and so ebese sana and oni adia yen so yehwe anyway mesan so aba na me de foforo and so e dia bro nyakopon hira wo no ndom no nka ho bebre bye bye